All right, Week 11 college football playoff rankings are now out. Texas A&M falls. Took a bad loss to Mississippi State. Nick Fitzpatrick, quarterback for the Bulldogs, just totally ran all over that A&M defense. Trevor Knight out for the rest of the season. Maybe back for the bowl game. Myles Garrett got hurt in that game as well. Don't know the extent to that injury. And then also LSU barely losing to Alabama in one of the best football games of the year. If you like defense, Alabama beats LSU 10-0, scoring their first points in, I think it was late third quarter, I believe. 3-0, end up winning 10-0 over the Tigers. So let's go ahead. I'm joined with JD as always with college football.
What's going on, y'all?
So I'm going to go ahead and read down this week's college football rankings. I'm going to go from 25 to number 1. Arkansas, after destroying Florida in an impressive fashion at home in Fayetteville, gets into the top 25 as they're ranked 25, 6-3, beat Florida 31-10 last week. This game coming up is against the number 24 ranked LSU, who barely lost to Alabama 10-0. I got something to say about that. Them falling that much. 23 Washington State 7-2. Impressive victory over Arizona 69-7. Mike Leach definitely has that Cougars offense, just like any offense he has ever had, booming right now. They have an explosive offense. Their defense is a big question mark, though. Boise State 22-8-1 as they beat San Jose State. Western Michigan 9-0 as they beat Ball State 52-20, but Western Michigan barely got by Kent State 37-21. Closer game than it looked, but they're 21. USC number 20. Last week they were not ranked, but they beat Oregon 45-20. Nebraska 19. Florida State 18. Florida State barely got past North Carolina State. North Carolina is now number 17. Sorry, North Carolina 17. They beat Georgia Tech 48-20. West Virginia 16. Moved up 4 spots after getting by Kansas. Utah went up 1, had a bye last week. Virginia Tech up 5-14 after they barely beat Duke by 3, 24-21. Oklahoma State, number 13 now. They went up 5 spots after beating Kansas State this week and West Virginia last week, the week before. Colorado, number 12, getting by UCLA 20-10. Oklahoma, number 11, after they beat Iowa State Thursday night 34-24 in an unimpressive fashion. And then the shocker in my eyes, the huge coming out of nowhere, Penn State, number 10, 7-2. They destroyed Iowa 41-14, getting a lot of love from the committee after they beat Ohio State. Auburn, number 9, as they beat Vanderbilt 23-16. A&M drops 4 spots after losing to Mississippi State to number 8. They were number 4, now they're number 8. Wisconsin, number 7. Beat Northwestern 21-7. They went up 1 spot. Louisville up 1 spot. Lamar Jackson and the Cardinals beat Boston College 52-7. Lamar Jackson had another 7+ touchdown game. So they're number 6. Ohio State, number 5. 8-1. Beat Nebraska in a very, very impressive fashion. 62-3. They play Maryland this week at Maryland. But to round out the top 4, you got Washington 9-0. They passed up. They went up 1 spot after A&M left. They took their spot. They beat California 66-27. Have a huge game this week against number 20 USC at home. So that's a game to watch this week. Michigan number 3 stayed where they were. Clemson number 2 stayed where they were, and of course the Crimson Tide of Alabama 9-0 stayed where they were after they beat LSU in the game of the year, I believe. So okay, Jay. This is second week. Rankings coming out, and who's the biggest surprise so far for you?
Texas A&M, for sure. I thought that they were going to drop to at least 17.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because this is my problem. My biggest shock, when I meant shock, I meant shocker team, but we're going to go and talk about this. The way A&M only dropped to 8 after they lost to Mississippi State, and they only dropped 4 spots. But then LSU puts up the best defense anyone's ever played against Alabama. Yes, their offense was really shoddy, but Their defense held Alabama to 10 points, the lowest points I think they probably scored ever since. They only scored, I think, 6 points in Baton Rouge like 3 or 4 years ago. And LSU dropped 11 spots. What's up with that? They played the number 1 team in the country and played great. Defense played like one of the best defenses in the country, dropped 11 spots. And then Texas A&M, who's number 4, lost to an unranked Mississippi State team and only dropped 4. So, what do you think? What do you think the committee had to be thinking when that happened? Because I think that's just, I think that's stupid.
I honestly, I have no idea what the committee was thinking. Why would you drop the? I'm thinking it has to do with like LSU was at home and Mississippi and A&M was on the road, possibly like.
Yes, but still, it was Alabama. And, okay, well, if that was the case, if it was a road game, yes, Bama got the win, but it wasn't that impressive, was it?
No.
And they still stayed number 1.
Well, yeah, it's an impressive win because you go to Death Valley.
But still, it's not like how they usually win.
Yeah.
And LSU is not a very, I guess you can say, impressive team this year, I guess is what everyone not around Louisiana is saying. Because I feel like everybody in Louisiana were the only people who thought LSU had a chance.
Yeah.
But I think that was the thing that stood out to me the most. LSU drops 11 spots to number 24 from number 13 after losing to number 1 Alabama 10-0. And then A&M, who was number 4, lost to a Mississippi State team and dropped 4 spots. And I figured they would drop more spots since their starting quarterback is out for the rest of the year. Wouldn't you think?
Oh yeah, I think they would.
Maybe,
like I said, I thought they should have dropped.
Maybe when they lose to Ole Miss, they will drop a lot now.
Yeah.
But
But another thing that's jumping in my eye, how everyone's saying the Big 12 is out of the picture with Oklahoma being their only shot. I'm liking the way these next 2 games fold out for Oklahoma, as you see Oklahoma State jump 5 spots from 18 to 13. And West Virginia jumped up 4 spots from 20 to 16. And if both of those teams can blow out their opponents this weekend and jump up even more, that's a possibility where Oklahoma will have, let's say, West Virginia blows out Texas and they jump up another 4 spots to number 12. And that's a top 12 matchup against West Virginia on the road where Oklahoma gets victory. That's huge in the committee's eyes. And then a bye week for Oklahoma, and then Oklahoma State keeps rising in the polls. And that's that's possibly a top 10 matchup, and Oklahoma wins that and wins Big 12 championship outright. And other teams are going to fall because they end up playing each other. And I just really see, if Oklahoma continues to win, I could see them, not as a biased Oklahoma fan, I'm just looking at with who they have left on their schedule and the rank they have now, and if they continue to climb the rankings, then I give Oklahoma a very good shot at making it.
All right, yeah. So what I'm looking at schedules of 3 specific teams, and who they would have to lose to for Oklahoma to have a shot in the playoff. So Louisville is going to have to either lose to at least 1 game. And I think that's going to be Houston. If they lose a game, it will be Houston. Because Houston's got a chip on their shoulder, not playing the way they could, but Houston's still a dang good football team. They just lost their confidence. And they could easily set the tone to end the season right with a victory over that. But then also, they are playing Kentucky at the end of the season in the rivalry game for the Battle of Kentucky. So that's also a game to look out for. But Louisville's going to have to lose one of those games. And then also Penn State. You look at Penn State's schedule, and they have last game of the season, Michigan State at home. So that's going to be a tough game for the Nittany Lions. But
another thing you got to look at, Dylan, is with Oklahoma playing Oklahoma State, having a bye week.
I know.
I mean, they're playing on championship weekend where you're going to have top 10 matchups possibly in those championship games. And
I know. I'm talking about the regular season right now. I'm talking about for them to be in contention by the time we get to the conference championship week. I'm saying that, a 2-loss Oklahoma team is not going to get past a 1-loss team, I don't think. Or it's not going to get past a 7-2 Auburn team because of their SEC, or a 7-2 Penn State team because they beat Ohio State and Oklahoma.
Well, if we're talking about championship weekend, Auburn will.
I'm talking about before. I'm not talking about the championship. I'm talking about right before. This is what's going to happen for them to have a chance. Because I think if Oklahoma is still sitting around 10 or higher, that I don't think they'll have a shot by the time they get to the. See, I think they could. There's a huge possibility. Also, let's get to Wisconsin. Wisconsin, they're going to have to lose in their regular season, I think. They'll probably lose in if they even make the conference championship. But they have Illinois at Purdue and Minnesota. So that's not looking too bright. That's not looking too bright for Oklahoma right there. But yeah, like I'm saying, there's there's plenty of possibility the Big 12 can make it into the playoff this year. But would not be shocked if that happens. Who's your biggest surprise team this year?
Biggest surprise team?
Yeah.
Honestly, out of what in the top 25 or like top 10 or
just what team has stuck it out this far that they made it into the playoff rankings? Just anywhere, like how well they're actually doing this year.
I'd have to go Washington State.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because,
no. Yeah.
Who would have thought over the past 10 years Washington State has just been the laughing stock of the Pac-12?
Yeah.
And now Mike Leach has that team actually playing defense with a spectacular offense. And that is where I really, really think Washington is in for some trouble this year.
Yeah. And crazy fact about Mike Leach, only college football coach to never play college football.
Yep.
He attended school at Pepperdine University, actually, JD. He went to Pepperdine, went to law school. He went to BYU and then Pepperdine again. But Mike Leach is air raid. If you don't remember Mike Leach, he was the old Texas Tech head coach before the whole. I don't know how he got fired, but something happened with a player or something. I don't know. But Mike Leach is the type of coach that throws the ball. They got a great quarterback. Washington State does. I'm looking forward to that Washington State game at the end of the year. That's going to be a very high-scoring matchup. That's going to test the Washington Huskies defense for sure. My biggest surprise team is, like I've been saying, and how I like them a lot, is Penn State. And their only win is against Ohio State, but still that's a huge victory. How clutch their defense was against Ohio State to get 2 sacks in a row to end the football game. Then also, I'm going to have to say Colorado. Because where has Colorado been since the early 2000s? Colorado ranked number 12, beating UCLA 20-10. I believe you said UCLA was going to win that game, JD.
Yeah, I did.
And Colorado ranked number 12, moved up 3 spots after beating UCLA to 20-10. So they're now 7-2, sitting close to possibly making it to the Pac-12 championship game, JD. So we'll see how that works out for them. And this year's a lot more crazier than it has been these past 2 years, I think, because there's only 4 undefeated teams left. Or, sorry, 5 if you count Western Michigan, but they have no shot of getting in. But just wait until next year, because the Big 12 is finally going to have a championship game again. So they're not going to have divisions. It's just going to be the top 2 teams in the Big 12 are going to face off against each other no matter what. So it could be Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech. It could be Texas, Texas Tech, TCU, Texas, blah, 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 blah. But next year is going to be even more crazy because there's going to be a Big 12 championship game. So that's going to be fun to watch. All right, Jay, so What's your stance on the final two out with Ohio State, Louisville? Who do you think is more deserving to go? Ohio State with the loss to Penn State, or the Louisville the loss to Clemson?
Ohio State.
You think? Why so? Why do you say that?
Because of their resume.
Okay.
Well, you look at Ohio State. Their biggest win, obviously, is at Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way they've just dominated everybody, I believe that that Penn State game, it is very tough to play in Happy Valley whenever it's the whiteout game at night, and it was very tough. I believe that they just weren't prepared enough. And I feel like the committee should be looking at how Oklahoma played at the first part of the year to what they're playing now. I believe Oklahoma's 10 times better now than they were at the beginning of the year.
Of course. And that's what they did last year, was Oklahoma started off after the loss to Texas. That was awful. And then they finally they started playing great, and they made it.
I believe if you put them up against each other again in Norman right now, I believe it'll be 10 times better ball game than it was.
Okay.
But I just believe they're way more talented than Louisville.
All right.
And
so
honestly, Louisville hasn't played anybody other than Clemson, in my opinion.
That's true. They did play Florida State, but they're now 5-3. Not even in the top 20. Never mind. They're number 18, but Florida State's 6-3. Sorry, but they're not what everyone thought they were. Jimbo Fisher could be out of his way. Tallahassee into Baton Rouge, maybe. But what I think with Louisville is that I think the committee knows what they're talking about with these rankings, because yes, Louisville's good, but they're good because of one player, a multi-dimensional quarterback in Lamar Jackson. That the Cardinals would be nothing without him. Yes, they have a really good defense. They do. They have a great defense, but they wouldn't be as great if they weren't putting up that many points. And Ohio State's defense is solid. They have a great quarterback in J.T. Barrett. They also have a run game, a pass game. Ohio State's one of the most complete, probably one of the most complete teams in the country, behind Michigan and Alabama, and I guess you can say Clemson too. But Ohio State just has, I think they're also looking into coaching with Urban Meyer, and who has this is how I think, if I were them, this is how I would put it. How about this? Because this is what everyone in the country bases stuff off of. Could they beat Alabama? But this is what I'm asking. Do you think that this would be a good thing to base it off of? Who has the best chance of beating Alabama? And take Washington out of the picture. They're just there because they're undefeated and putting up a lot of points, and because they have a Heisman contender.
In my opinion, who has the best?
No. I'm not asking your opinion. I'm saying, do you think that would be do you think like maybe that's part of the selection process, is who could give Bama their best shot? Because I think there's 3 teams right now I can name off the top of my back that I know Bama could lose to, especially seeing that LSU game.
Yeah, and that
because Michigan's defense I think is just as good as LSU's.
Yeah, I think it's better.
I don't know. With that being said, Ohio State being number 5, I think they'll make it in eventually, but I don't think they'll stay in. Who do you think will win Ohio State, Michigan right now?
Ohio State.
Okay, I have Michigan in that football game.
The reason why I'm picking Ohio State, it's in Columbus. If it was in Ann Arbor, I'd be picking Michigan.
Yeah. I don't think even off the air, I don't think I've ever asked you this. What do you think of the playoff system and the selection process?
I think it's bull honky.
Yeah? Why?
Because I believe that instead of 4 teams, I believe they should play it like the NFL format, where instead of 4 teams, you take 8 teams. You take the 5 Power 5 conference winners, okay? Then you take... It means that you could take LSU, loses 4 games, wins the SEC, they still get in. You represent the SEC.
Would they make the SEC championship game with 4 losses?
No, I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, a 4-loss team could get in if they win their conference. And I believe you should keep the group of 5 in there and take the highest ranked group of 5 team, and then you take 2 wild cards.
So
wild cards being
basically the
2
NFL
highest
system.
ranked teams.
So basically the NFL system.
Yes.
All right. What about this? Because you gotta picture in money. What if you keep the Orange Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Cotton Bowl, because it holds the most.
No. Then, are you asking me for sites?
No. This is what I'm saying. If there was no money involved, I think the best thing to do would be have 6 games and let that be the playoff. But let it be like the biggest bowls of people. Like if there was no money involved. But anyway, what I was talking with my friend named John, who I do the LSU preview with on 11:30 The Tiger. I was talking to him, and we were talking about just have every single bowl game and have an 8-team playoff. That's 4 games. That's two more games than there is now. And to have it in Cowboy Stadium. I say have it in each corner of the United States. I say you have it in somewhere in Los Angeles. Then I say you have it in Dallas. When I say corners, I mean just in various parts, not really close together. Los Angeles, Dallas, maybe New Orleans because the Superdome. Somewhere in Florida or maybe the Georgia Dome, and then maybe MetLife Stadium. Give it a little kick to it, But that would give two more games. That's about $100 million each right there probably. And then also it makes the season longer. It makes it more competitive. And it really just shows who the best team is. And you go from those 2 games, then you have the semifinal that you could have in, the Cardinal Stadium or wherever the hell you want to have it. But you add 2 more games, 4 more teams, 2 more games. Wouldn't you think that would make it a little better?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Dylan. But I believe that you keep the conference champion relevant.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, yes. That's what they're going to do. The conference champion's going to make it in. Let's say if Bama loses to Auburn wins the SEC championship, Bama
will still
get in, but they'll make sure to put Auburn in there too.
Yeah.
Because they cannot have Bama not in their playoff.
The way I view it, what should happen is, this is the way I view it. The college football semifinals right now are on New Year's Eve, right?
Yeah.
All right. The way it should be played is that first weekend of bowl games should be the first. If we do the round of 8. I believe it should be in those small bowl games. You should cut out as many teams as we make it. I think they should change it from 6 wins to 7 to be bowl eligible, and cut down on the bowls, and use the smaller bowls like let's say Independence Bowl, New Orleans Bowl, Alamo Bowl, stuff like that.
Bahama Bowl.
Yeah, use those as quarterfinal matchups. And then New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, use those as the semifinal matchups, and then the national championship be played the last game of the year.
But wouldn't you want all the other teams to have a chance to win something at the end of the season?
That's what I'm saying. Change it from 6 wins to 7 to be bowl eligible.
That's interesting. But
I think it would make college football way more exciting.
They should just take the whole bracket from the college basketball and make it into football.
Mike Leach
two football games. You can play 2 football games in a 3-day span. How about that?
Jesus.
Heck no.
But Mike Leach did say that if you we could have a 64-team college football playoff.
Oh, we could. It's just going to last all year.
The way he said you do it is, and I'm going to add into his scenario, with all these like Alabama playing, hold on, let me find one game. like Western Kentucky and Chattanooga and teams like that, I believe they should do it like the NFL and have preseason games, scrimmages, where nobody's okay. You can have a ranking, but it affects your ranking by how you perform in those games. Give it 2 or 3 weeks before the season starts, and then you narrow down the games to 10 games. You have 8 conference games and 2 non-conference games against Power 5 conferences. And then you play your championship, conference championship, and then that's just 11 games. And then if you make it to the national championship game, you're playing 17 games.
Okay.
Which is only two more than what a national champion would play right now.
So basically put these college students who are wanting to get paid and making them wait to go to the NFL to basically play in somewhat like the NFL, just not get paid.
I'm just talking about the 64 team.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. I'm messing around. But that would take a whole lot to change and to happen. But we got this year and next year to keep the same system, and then after that they are free to make any changes, whatever, to the playoff, because the 4-year contract.
It's not until 2025.
Oh, I thought it was a 4-year thing.
No. They can make changes to it, but I don't see them going away from this 14.
College football screwed. So, all right, y'all. Thank y'all for joining us. The next college football ranking will be out next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central Time.
Yes.
I think. Yeah, 6 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. So keep an eye out for that. We'll have another podcast next week. All right, y'all have a good day. God bless.